Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. For those of you listening in the podcast, welcome back to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. Let's talk about sleeping better, feeling more energized, and I'm going to go over 5 simple steps to sleep better in just 1 week. So really, truly, if you incorporate these simple steps in just 1 week, you will be sleeping better. And I'll tell you right away, what are the steps I'm going to go over? I'm going to go over the S's of sleep. I'm going to go over hydration and exercise. Let's talk about, what do you think number 3 might be? Hormones, of course. That's my specialty. And specifically, I'll talk about progesterone, cortisol, and insulin. Others are important, but let's just leave it there. I'm going to talk, number 4 is temperature and light. And then number 5 is awareness around caffeine and alcohol. And so really, truly, some 5 simple steps that aren't going to require any big investment, really no investment at all other than your commitment. So first, my intention is to start out with, why are we talking about sleep? Sleep is the time for our bodies to rest, digest, and assimilate. We all know it's important, but I really want to hit home a bit on the degree to which it's important. So we spend about 1/3 of our lives sleeping. And during this time, our bodies perform vital functions, such as producing testosterone and progesterone. I'll dig a bit more into progesterone later, but yes, even testosterone for those that are wanting, more libido, more confidence, more muscle tone, more energy. You're wanting more testosterone. Sleep is vital. It is going to play a big part in our circadian rhythm, which is going to influence energy level through the day. It also regulates the relationship between melatonin and cortisol and impacts other crucial hormones like dopamine and serotonin, which then help us feel connected and happy and proud of ourselves and all of that. Sleep is essential for filing away memories, reducing stress, stabilizing our mood, and also managing our weight. And so if you're one of those individuals that you feel like you've tried everything to either lose or gain weight and nothing is working, maybe doing a deep dive into shifting some things for sleep might be that last piece, right? We leave no rock unturned. And I just want to say, for more of a deep dive within the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast, to go back to episode 55, 56, and 57, I did a big deep dive. So we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Some need more, some need less. And it's interesting to note that statistically, guess the answer to this. Guess, what do you think is the number of people who can survive on just 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night over time? It's actually 0. What sleep researchers are saying is, for those of us that think, we're fine. I'm fine with just 5 hours. I'm fine with just 6 hours. No. Over time, it has drastic impacts. Just looking at daylight savings time in the spring, when we lose an hour, there's a 24% increase in heart attack rates the following day. And conversely, in the fall, when we gain an hour, there's a 21% reduction in heart attacks, road traffic accidents, suicide rates, and even the harshness of a judge's decision. So just 1 hour of sleep loss is significant. Okay, so let's talk about the S's of sleep. Okay, number 1, I'm going to go through 5 tips. So number 1 is the S's of sleep. The S's that do not belong around sleep would be screens and sedatives. Okay, I'm starting with the confronting one. Don't turn this off. People are like, No, I'm not going there. Okay, the key is to avoid screens and avoid sedatives before bedtime. Studies have shown that the blue light from screens actually interferes with our natural sleep-wake cycle, making it harder to fall asleep and reducing sleep quality. Plus, if we're spending our time either doing the scroll on our phones or working late at night on the computer or watching TV in the bedroom, it's also getting in the way of actual real connection. So that can be connection to self or connection to partner. I'm actually suggesting we play board games, we journal, we read paper books, we meditate, we go walk around the neighborhood, do something other than being entertained by things that are putting extra blue light into our eyes and throwing off our sleep. I also mentioned sedatives, okay? While they might help you fall asleep initially, they can actually disrupt the natural sleep cycle. And what they do is they lead to less restorative sleep. Okay, so what research has shown is you might seem like you're a log, right? You've taken that Ambien, you've taken some type of sedative, trazodone to fall asleep. Maybe you think that you're a log and you've slept well, but what research is showing is you actually don't get into deep REM sleep. It's very disrupted sleep, so you're not detoxifying, you're not resting and restoring, you're not filing away the experiences from the day before, and so then you actually wake up feeling the lack of restorative benefits of the sleep, even though you were flat or horizontal for who knows how many hours. The S's that do belong in the bedroom or around sleep would be sex and sleep. Okay, physical intimacy can help release oxytocin, reducing stress, promoting better sleep. It also creates a great sense of safety and connection and calm. And then the S, the other has to keep asleep. And that's the whole reason you're listening to this episode. So I just want to say with that, calming bedtime routines really go a long way. Okay. For any parents out there, we all know that sleep routines go a long way for our children. Okay. And then we think, oh, now we're an adult, so we no longer need it. We do. Okay. So the more that you can create routines as bookends to start your day and end your day, just watch what changes. Okay. Okay, tip number 2 would be hydration and exercise. Okay, staying hydrated through the day and slowing down hydration after dinner is going to actually make a big difference in your sleep. So those bookends, start your day, drink a tall glass of water. Some love to put a little bit of lemon juice in it or apple cider vinegar. Awesome. Okay. Just make sure you start your day with a tall glass of water. Okay. Make sure you're hydrating throughout the day. For those of you, particularly women who are being woken in the night with your bladder, that's telling me there's a few things going on, but one of them is awesome that you're hydrated, but there's probably some space to hydrate better in the first half of the day. Ideally, we really don't want caloric intake into our bodies within 4 hours of going to bed anyway. So in an ideal world, you're finishing your dinner within 4 hours of going to bed and then really winding down the hydration after that. Okay, so we're hydrating heavy the beginning of the day and into the afternoon. Dehydration can lead to fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating. So what we're looking for is better sleep, more energy, right? So aim to drink at least 10 glasses of water a day and consider starting your day with that kickstart that I mentioned. Some people will take their water bottle and put marks on it with time, especially if you have a water bottle that's clear. And now you've got time stamps that you can go throughout the day to go, okay, have I drank this much by this time in the day, just as a little tip. The other thing can be adding chia seeds to your water. Chia seeds fill up with water and help maintain hydration over time. Okay. When the brain and joints are well lubricated, so is the nervous system. Okay. So helping our nervous system unwind, feel safe is going to help with sleep. Okay. Let's talk about exercise. Global averages. According to the World Health Organization, adults age 18 to 64 should engage in at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate to intense aerobic exercise per week. Okay. In the United States, the CDC reports that only around 23% of adults meet the guidelines for both aerobic and muscle strengthening activities. If you're curious about the muscle strengthening activities, That's a whole nother conversation. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I thought the stats were fascinating. In Europe, the Eurobarometer survey found that 40% of Europeans engage in physical exercise at least once a week. However, around 46% never or rarely exercise. That really was alarming and surprised me. I think of Europeans as being very active, walking a lot. So maybe it's how they defined exercise. But globally, many people spend a significant portion of their day being sedentary, particularly in urban environments. And the average adult spends about 4 to 6 hours per day sitting, which can offset the benefits of exercise. So regular body movement has a few key benefits, and I just want to highlight them. We already know this, but just listen up and remember, when we move our body during the day, it's going to help us sleep better at night. So exercising helps to regulate the sleeping waking cycle. Specifically, if we fit in outdoor exercise, because now we're getting that light therapy and the circadian rhythm therapy. So we're getting natural sunlight through our eyes through something called our suprachiasmatic nucleus. And it's about our internal body clock. Okay. It tells our body when to wake up and when to go to sleep. So can you move your body outside? More light, more better during the day. And keeping the artificial light down. Artificial light is actually considered an endocrine disruptor. So fascinating. Exercise has been proven to reduce stress and anxiety. It's been proven to increase quality sleep. Engaging in physical activity helps expend energy, making you more physically tired by the end of the day. And so if you've got that restless leg syndrome, let's get really honest with ourselves. How much body movement are you getting through the day? And if you really are sitting for 6 to 8 hours, where is there inefficiency? Which is a whole nother episode. Okay. Body movement helps to balance hormones, and those hormones we need in order to have energy during the day and to sleep better at night. And then obviously research has proven that those who exercise have less insomnia. Okay. Also, exercising has been proven to reduce actual sleep apnea and improve mental wellness. Okay. So like I said, for water, little tips, chia seeds is a little one. And then making sure you've got your filled up water bottles, ideally stainless steel, ahead of time. Or saying, okay, like for me, for instance, can I finish this whole thing by 10 a.m. is my goal, depending on what time I wake up. Last night, we didn't get home till midnight because we played at the coast and it's the summertime and we were paddleboarding up the Smith River. So I have not yet finished this, but I will, I promise. I did, however, finish my entire adaptogen elixir and a kombucha, but I'm, shucks, here I am doing this episode on hydration, and I could do a better job at specifically hydrating with water. I think I've maybe gotten 4 cups in so far. I guess I should be proud of myself. That's pretty good after all. Okay, body movement, one little tip there. I love the 7-minute workout. Okay, I can never really, there's no way I can justify that I don't have 7 minutes. So I pull up the app, me and the kids will do a quick 7 minutes. It's a great body pump. You can do it anywhere. You don't need weights. I also keep dumbbells at the top of my stairs. TheraBands at the top of the stairs as well. I have the weighted ankle strap thing. Sometimes I'll just strap those on my ankles and do a loop around the block. Even if it's just 5 minutes between calls, that 150-minute per week minimum can be added up over time. It does not mean that you have to drive to the gym and do an hour-long workout and blah, 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 blah. If you don't have time for that, or it feels like too much or too big of a leap, can you just fit in 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and integrate it throughout the day? It goes a long way. Okay, tip number 3 is our hormones. Okay, so progesterone, cortisol, and insulin were the 3 that I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, there are many others, all of whom play a big role, thyroid hormones being one of them, testosterone, estrogen. I could go on, but let's stay focused. Because those 3 specifically impact sleep and energy levels. So progesterone can promote relaxation and sleep, particularly for women in our luteal phase or that PMS week, and as we're progressing through perimenopause. Okay, so if you're someone who's having a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep, a little bit of restless leg, adding in either some bioidentical progesterone Or maybe try some wild yam cream as a start. Just do a quarter size right at the bend of your elbow, bend behind your knee at night before bed. Maybe try it initially just during your PMS week and your bleeding time. See what it does to move the needle with quality sleep. It's also, progesterone's also going to help to kind of decrease any of that tension or irritability that's showing up. And cortisol, on the other hand, is our stress hormone. So that hormone that's naturally produced by the adrenals during fight, flight, freeze, or fawn periods. And if it's too high, it can keep us awake at night. Okay. We want it to rise when we wake up. So when I order individuals 24-hour cortisol curve, or I order your Dutch Plus test, I'm looking at your cortisol when you wake up, at 30 minutes, at the 1 hour mark, in the afternoon, and right before you go to bed. And then if you do have a nighttime wake up, you collect at that point too. And it's all done via urine and saliva. We can go, oh my gosh, look at this. You're exhausted in the morning because your body's not naturally producing the cortisol that's supposed to rise in the morning, or it's skyrocketing. And of course you're tired and you're feeling anxious. So cortisol as that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response is important for energy throughout the day, to be prepared to run fast if we need to, or theoretically need to. But what happens over time is when we're too stressed out, brinking on burnout, either we're producing too much cortisol or the adrenals get too tired and then it flattens out. And so once again, I see that when I'm ordering lab tests. And this is, the Dutch Plus is something I can order. I've got clients in the Caribbean, Europe, Canada, Australia, the US. So just reach out my way. I'd be happy to order it for you. It's a kit that shows up at your front door. And then we just have an hour one-on-one together to go over it and help you see the data from what is going on with your adrenals that might be impacting your sleep. It's also going to show me your progesterone, your estrogen, your testosterone, and other things like dopamine and melatonin. Okay. A little tip for cortisol would be your adaptogen elixirs. I talk about adaptogens all the time. Anybody who's been following me for the last 5 to 10 years, I'm a big fan of adaptogens. They help the body better adapt to stress. Most of them come through plants or herbs or mushrooms. My adaptogen elixir today, I'm drinking the matcha mud water, which has a bunch of different adaptogens in it. And then I added some MCT oil powder and some organic soy milk, some stevia drops, and it's so yummy. And some collagen as the protein source. If you're curious about what do you mean, what's an adaptogen elixir, we'll make sure it's in the show notes, the link. I have free adaptogen elixir recipes. You're welcome to grab them. You can also just go to my website, marayabrown.com, click on free resources and grab them there. And then I think the other thing with cortisol levels and nervous system regulation is there's so much out there that we can access regarding nervous system regulation, tapping being one, alternate nose breathing being another, breathwork sessions, sound baths. I mean, there's so many things that we can do depending on if you want to go somewhere or you want to just have it there with you at any point, right? Okay. Last hormone I wanted to talk about was insulin. Insulin spikes from high sugar intake can lead to energy crashes. Okay, so we're eating sugar or high refined carbohydrates that turn into sugar, such as rice and breads and muffins and Starbucks frappuccinos or cereals, whatever it may be. We might think that we're doing well, but we're spiking our blood sugar. And then insulin's like, okay, I'm going to try to figure out what to do with this. Where do I put it? I don't know, right? And so what happens is as the blood sugars are rolling on a roller coaster, our moods take the same roller coaster, our hormones take the same roller coaster, and then at night, it negatively impacts our sleep. So particularly if you're having that 2 to 4 a.m. wake up, I'm thinking really all of these hormones, but particularly, are we keeping your adrenals feeling safe throughout the day, and we're keeping your insulin and blood sugars steady? So the key tip there is simply increase your protein and fat intake throughout the day. Quality fat, your nuts, your seeds, your avocados, your quality oils, right? Lean meats. The protein and fat is going to help balance out whatever sugars are coming in, even from fruit. Fruit is great, but we want to balance it out with a source of protein and fat. Okay, moving on to tip number 4 would be temperature and light. So the environment you sleep in can significantly affect your sleep quality. Okay, so we want to keep our bedroom cool, ideally 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is Celsius, so for those listening, sorry, but 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. I like 66 for our house, but research has definitely shown that it helps quality of sleep. And then, like I've mentioned earlier, we want to minimize light exposure, specifically as we're winding down. So we're looking at 2 hours before going to bed, limiting access to computers and TVs and phones, but even LED lights if you're really going to do this well. And then consider blackout curtains or an eye mask for the room that you're sleeping in. Make sure you're plugging your phone in a different room, have a different type of alarm. Okay. If you want to listen to a podcast or you want to listen to something, have a Bluetooth speaker in your room and do it that way. But we really want to start reducing that light pollution. It goes once again through the suprachiasmatic nucleus in our eyes, and it throws off our circadian rhythm. And it's a mixed message to the body when the body's like, okay, sun's gone down, it's getting dark, I'm supposed to produce melatonin and go to sleep, but now there's all these lights going through my eyes, specifically blue light heavy, and now I'm getting the memo that it's time to wake up, so I'm producing cortisol, and it's really confusing. Okay, so as we wind down for bed, we want it dark, we want it cool, and we want it comfortable. Okay. So key tips there. I mentioned blackout curtains, 2 hours before going to bed, reducing blue light, even just setting timers on your phone and your laptop where it dims the blue light exposure after, say, 7 p.m. Awesome. And then the temperature, that's quite simple. Okay. Moving on to tip number 5, awareness of caffeine and alcohol. Wait, before I go there, let's give a recap. So tip number 1 was the S's of sleep, right? We want to reduce sedatives and screens. We want to increase sex and sleep, right? Tip number 2 was hydration and exercise, really hitting home on the importance of that. My guess is all of you that are listening, you already know how to increase your exercise and hydration. It's just the motivation factor behind it. So my hope is if you really want to sleep better, you just simply get to ask yourself the question, why am I not prioritizing this? Okay. I know how much better I feel when I'm sleeping. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to actually prioritize my hydration. Maybe it's time to actually prioritize my body movement. And I've got lots more tips there if you're wanting more. Okay. Then number 3 was our hormones. I spoke specifically about progesterone, cortisol, and insulin. Hopefully that's helpful. There's many there. And like I said, my preference is to help you with tips, but also look quantifiably. So you're welcome to apply for a call. You're welcome to reach out to me. Let's get some data and really help you with the answers to have a personalized plan, not just with these 5 tips, but maybe some personalized supplementation, maybe with a personalized plan to really help optimize your hormonal well-being, your adrenal well-being, and then also your detoxification pathways. Tip number 4 was temperature and light. And then tip number 5 is awareness of caffeine and alcohol. So being mindful of our caffeine and alcohol intake really can make a big difference in our sleep quality. So caffeine is a stimulant, okay? It has a 5 to 6 hour half-life, meaning you drink 1 cup of caffeine, half of it is out of your body in 5 to 6 hours, okay? Then it has a 10 to 12 hour quarter life, meaning it can stay in your system and affect your sleep long after consumption. Everybody's body responds differently to caffeine, and not all caffeine is created equally, okay? So as an example, for my body, if I drink coffee, I will not sleep that night. Whereas I'm drinking matcha, mud water today. It does have some caffeine in it, but it doesn't impact my sleep at all. Yerba mate, on the other hand, for me, if I have yerba mate beyond 9 a.m., I will not sleep that night. Okay, so you get to play around. Green tea, yerba mate, coffee. I mean, there's so many other sources of caffeine. I'm just going to put aside energy drinks. Just stop. There's so many other better sources of energy, okay? Caffeine blocks adenosine receptors, reducing sleep pressure and leading to a crash once it's metabolized. I'm not going to dig into this a lot. It's in the other episodes where I did a deep dive about sleep. But we want adenosine to build up. It's what creates sleep pressure so that we sleep well. And if caffeine is blocking those adenosine receptors, reducing sleep quality, if you're one of those individuals that is really struggling with sleep and you're drinking a lot of caffeine in the day, maybe it's time to consider taking it out. But don't just take it out. Let's really figure out, what are we going to replace it with? Can we replace it with yummy adaptogen elixirs? Can we replace it with a wide variety of greens or green powders that you're adding to your water? Other sources of maybe decaffeinated green tea. Finding something that's going to work for you, be a pleasurable experience, and not just feeling deprived. Okay, so for some, even decaffeinated coffee contains enough caffeine that it can make a difference. And just a side note, I've had a number of clients that struggle with anxiety. They take the caffeine out and poof, what a difference. The other thing to say is especially as women, we're constantly evolving. There was a 10-year time span for me where if I had any caffeine at all, it would disrupt my sleep for the rest of the next 24 hours. Whereas now I've started incorporating matcha again, and it's not negatively impacting my sleep. So just because it's always been one way does not mean that that's going to be the same way for each decade of our lives, especially as women, because we change so much when we're in puberty versus our fertility years versus perimenopause versus menopause and beyond. Okay. So just be aware that maybe it's time to try on reducing or taking out caffeine, and then making sure that you're really replacing it with some amazing stuff. Okay, alcohol. Alcohol is kind of in the same category as sedatives. While it's often thought of to help with sleep, it actually is a sedative. Okay, so we become a log, but we're not getting quality sleep. It is sedation. Okay, so really get honest with, do I really need this alcohol tonight? What am I curbing? Am I trying to wind down? Can I wind down in a different way? Can I instead move my body? Okay, I want it because it's a social thing for me and takes off the edge of feeling nervous. Okay, can you try something different? Can you try, I have lots of ideas. I'm not going to dig into all of them today, but the big thing to know is it leads to fragmented sleep. Okay, when you wake up often during the night, but what happens with sedatives is often you don't realize that you're waking often, but you're not getting into that REM sleep or deep REM sleep, so it's poor quality sleep. And then of course the next day, now you're not feeling well, you haven't had the detoxification, you're having a hard time losing weight, you're feeling crummy, you're not producing hormones, you're struggling with brain fog, right? All of the crucial things that are part of mental and emotional health. And then now you're also feeling dehydrated because you haven't slept, plus alcohol causes even more dehydration. Okay. So limiting alcohol intake before bed can significantly improve sleep quality. As another just tip is cordyceps instead of caffeine. Okay, you can do cordyceps in your adaptogen elixir, or you can even just take it encapsulated. Same with lion's mane. And then at night, trying magnesium and ground flax as a wind down before bed. And then maybe instead of alcohol, try a mocktail. Can you drink kombucha? Can you get creative with getting really fun with your mocktails and really kind of getting quiet with the mirror gaze of what part of myself do I believe is being filled by the alcohol or the caffeine? And can I instead really love that part of me? I totally get This is a confronting conversation, but we can also make it simple if we make our sleep a priority, which then means we make our hydration a priority. It means we make our hormones a priority. It means we make our productivity and mental clarity, everything a priority, because sleep is a priority. Okay, so to wrap it up, we've covered 5 key strategies: the S's of sleep, hydration, exercise, hormonal balance, and optimizing your sleep environment. And then obviously being mindful of caffeine and alcohol. Implementing these tips can lead to better sleep, which means improved mood and increase energy levels throughout the day. I want to thank you for your time. I know that we all have lots of choices to make and we live productive lives. And so thank you for sharing this exchange with me. If you have any questions, really, truly, feel free to reach out. You're welcome to fill out the application to book a call, grab the adaptogen elixir recipes from the free resources, and find me wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it's Maraya. So as long as you find Maraya Brown wherever you are, you're going to be able to find me. Reach out. Let's have a conversation and see if maybe there would be an opportunity for me to support you along your journey. With that, happy August as I'm recording this, and cheers to your phenomenal sleep.